we reached the last chapter, actual play. This part of the presentation focuses on how to actually start playing the game. Magic the Gathering is very complex and offers multiple ways of using and advancing the given rules on the cards. We will highlight 3 things: how to choose a format that fits your interests and options, how to construct a deck that fits your playstyle, how to acquire the cards to build your deck if you want to play in paper. Keep in mind that this presentation is tailored towards casual players with almost no prior knowledge in trading card games. Should you consider playing on a competitive or even professional level, I strongly suggest you using various other and deeper sources of information. Formats are different modes in which the Magic the Gathering collectible card game can be played. Some of them are sanctioned and can be played in official tournaments. There are generally 2 categories of formats: constructed, in which players may build their deck from all the available cards in a format and construct their deck prior to playing in the tournament. Limited, in which players build their deck from a restricted and unknown pool of cards, usually created by opening MTG products. These formats require players to build their decks as part of the tournament, with time allotted for deck building. Besides the sanctioned formats, there are many casual ones, which in a lot of cases are made up by the community. The biggest one being Commander, which was later endorsed by Wizards of the Coast and became the most common way of playing Magic the Gathering. Most formats demand a certain investment of time and money. The presentation will touch them very briefly. The constructed formats are Standard, which uses cards from the most recent 4 to 8 sets, price range around $100 to $500. Modern, which uses cards from the core set 8th edition and all sets that were since then part of Standard at one point in time, plus Modern Horizons, price range around $500 to $1,200. Pioneer, which uses cards from Return to Ravnica and all sets that were since then part of Standard at one point in time, price range around $300 to $600. And the 2 oldest and most complex formats, Legacy and Vintage. On the other hand, we have limited formats, which require players to open a specified number of MTG products and build a 40 card stack from it. 2 formats are most common for official limited play. Limited events at official stores are a great way to get to know people, but performing well in a limited tournament requires some understanding and preparation. In a booster draft, players in a circle each look at the cards from one booster pack, draft one of them to keep, then pass the remaining cards to an adjacent player. This repeats until the total allotment of packs, usually 3, is exhausted. Depending on the house rules, players keep the cards they drafted or picking the most valuable cards out of all drafted cards, depending on the tournament placing. Price range is around $10 to $25. In a sealed deck event, each player receives and opens all packs at once, usually 6 boosters, independently from other players. The price range is around $30 to $40. All aforementioned formats are centered around a 1v1 situation between 2 players with 20 life. In the space of casual formats, there are way too many to list them all. We will concentrate on the casual Commander format, because it is the most popular way to play the game, and in my opinion also the best way to start playing Magic. Commander sets itself apart from most of the other formats by the following means. Players have a starting life total of 40 life. Players play with a 100 card stack. The deck can't contain multiple copies of the same card except for basic lands, and cards that exclusively allow multiple copies exceeding the allowed max copies of the format. The biggest difference is that every Commander deck is structured around the name-giving Commander. The commander of a deck is a legendary creature. The game starts with the commander in the command zone. Players can cast their commander from that zone as if it were in their hand. Commander is usually a multiplayer format, mostly played in 3 to 4 player games. When the commander is destroyed, exiled or put into the library during the game, it can be returned to the command zone and cast again for an additional 2 colorless mana. These costs are called the commander tax. A commander limits the options for constructing a commander deck by its color identity. No cards in any player's deck may have a color identity that does not match or is not subset of the color identity of their commander. The color identity of a card is composed of its colors, plus the colors of every colored mana symbol that appears on the card, whether in its mana cost or its rules text. The color identity of Alesha is red, black and white, Mardu. The color identity of Taser is white-black, Orzhov. The color identity of Jotha is white, blue, black, red, green, 5-color, or Wooburg. After you chose a format, you'll need to build a deck for it, which can be a quite overwhelming task. The vast pool of cards and strategies in Constructed on the one hand, and the impossibility to use strategies outside of your designated cards in Limited on the other. For a solid beginner's guide to Booster Draft, you can refer to this link. For deck building in constructed formats, you can refer to the meta deck lists from previous slides, and should research various other sources for a sufficient overview. The next slides will go a bit deeper into the methods of building a casual commander deck. This is not equal to building a strong or competitive deck, but rather a deck with a strategy that suits your playstyle, is fun to play, and works well enough to take part on a casual multiplayer table. You are starting the deck building process with a decision on a general strategy archetype. There are 3 main archetypes to build a deck around. Aggro, playing aggressive and trying to bring an opponent down as fast as possible before they can establish their own game plan. For example, with a lot of early small creatures or direct damage spells. Control, protecting yourself and surviving by disrupting the opponent's game plan and grinding them down until they can't do anything or not enough to stop you anymore and then slowly win. Or Combo, protecting yourself only as much as possible to not lose while simultaneously trying to assemble your puzzle of game pieces that grant you the win. For example, cards that work together to deal infinite damage. The transition between those types can be fluid. Most casual decks use game pieces that fall under Control and Aggro and generate the mid-range archetype, which tries to use the slower early game to control aggressive or outpace slower opponents and establish their game plan. You can choose a commander for your archetype, or look for a commander that suits your taste and build the archetype that best fits to it. To decide on a commander and playstyle that suits you, refer to Chapter 1.4 Color Pie. For this example, we will choose Alela Artful Provocateur as our commander. Alela offers a well-rounded package. Lifelink can keep us alive, Death Touch makes her an effective deterrent, Flying gives us an advantage for dealing spike damage over time. Her colors, white, blue and black, give us access to excellent and efficient control cards. Her ability to create small flying creatures while setting up other value pieces can add to an aggressive game plan and early damage, or gift blockers to ward off overpowering early threats. Every deck needs around 35 to 40% lands. Every commander deck should play around 10 card draw cards. If your commander itself draws cards, you can go lower. Depending on preference, you can use around 5 to 10 removal cards. Depending on game plan, you can use 8 to 12 ramp cards to speed up your process. The rest is used for your general strategy and additional synergies. In our example, we ended up with a rough draft for a commander deck. It will work, but can also be tuned in one or more directions to either specialize deeper or take a more generalist approach on its strategy. Commander is a very diverse format. There are numerous different strategies in the mainstream and the niche, which all offer different grounds to build your deck. Each commander itself can have multiple different builds that work well. This segment about deck building is meant to show the concept of building a deck, but is not sufficient to be used for every strategy. The following chapter highlights sources for more information. Here we gathered some online resources. Scryfall is a fast and powerful search engine for all Magic the Gathering cards. Gatherer from Wizards is the official WotC card database with a detailed errata for each card. EDHREC offers statistics and recommendations for every commander. Goldfish shows card prices over the time, meta decks and strategies. Moxfield is a modern and very smooth online deck builder. Tapped Out is another option for an online deck builder with focus on community and forum. Card Market is the best marketplace to purchase cards in Europe. With your deck in hand, it's time to get going and find opportunities to play. There are multiple ways to find people to play the game with. The traditional way is finding a local game store and asking them if they host an open game event for your preferred format, or for their schedule for official limited events like booster drafts and pre-release sealed. The Locator Wizards is the official tool to find the store. You can also search on social media like Facebook or the MTG forum to find a local game group or club. Besides from paper Magic, you can also play digitally via internet in two official ways, both with their own ups and downs. Please refer to the multiple reviews on YouTube if you want further information on how these video games or programs work. An unofficial way is Cockatrice, which is no video game but a very well designed cross-platform virtual tabletop for multiplayer card games. Cockatrice has no automation but also no limitation. You can use the whole card pool of MTG and upload your deck as a file downloaded from Moxfield or Tapped Out. Great for playtesting and playing with your overseas friends. At last, some advice on where and how to get your cards. This section is no advertisement, just tips to avoid typical traps and misleading information that new players fall into. Even though there's always the option to print out your own cards and test them beforehand, we assume that players will want to use official cards sooner or later. Here are some hints and tips should you consider buying cards. The second market is almost always a better deal than buying sealed booster packs in regard to pure card value. The YouTube channel Tolarian Community College has multiple videos about the value of official WotC products in contrast to the money they cost. The second market can be a very obscure place, especially for newcomers. It's not always clear which offers are trustworthy or worth it. Card Market and Card Kingdom are big established sites and have a wide range of products all across multiple trading card games. They show hundreds of offers of the same card, acting like a stock market for trading cards and therefore defining the value of a card. Stay away from eBay and other websites which do not give you easy access to comparative offers. Even though I strongly advise against buying booster packs, there are other attractive items in the catalog of Wizards of the Coast. The official pre-constructed commander decks from MTG offer a great starting point to play. The monetary value is decent, sometimes even surpassing the pre-order prices, and the decks keep getting better and better. You will always be able to have fun and be a relevant part of a casual multiplayer game while using an official precon. As with all areas of life, don't be afraid to ask for help from more experienced players, if you are unsure about any advertisement being worth your money or time. Try to support your local game store from time to time by buying cards or accessories, especially if you take part in their regular events. Be wary of the risk for gambling addiction regarding buying and opening booster packs. As a little summary, second market is preferred over cracking booster packs. Stay away from eBay. Card Market and Card Kingdom are your go-tos. Official pre-constructed commander decks from MTG are a great starting point. Ask for help from more experienced players and be wary of the risk of gambling addiction. At last, this was Magic the Gathering. Thank you for sticking with me through the whole presentation. If you want to download it for yourself, you can find a link in the video description. I feel honored and grateful for anyone who took their time to listen to me. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me via YouTube, Blue Sky or wherever. Have fun playing and a great day.